much Moldavite is too much Moldavite? Today's episode, I want to talk about my personal experience 3.5 years in and with over 500 grams of Moldavite in my collection. So to give you an example of like how much 500 grams is, this little dragon's claw is 14.25 grams, right? So 500 grams of a ton of different Moldavite. So I feel like the only difference with my Moldavite, and this is just in my collection, I'm not selling any more Moldavites, is during my entire journey, like I talked about in my previous video, it's there are times when my consciousness is way up there that I'm not even conscious of what I'm doing here in the physical realm, right? And so the very first thing you want to know and understand, and I'm telling you, right, you would have to work with a Moldavite to really understand what's happening. And a lot of you, either one, you're a loyal follower, you're connected to the Moldavite grid, right? You have one of my Moldavites when I was selling them. And two, either you are brand new to Moldavite, either for that TikTok trend that went viral with Moldavite, and you're experiencing all these crazy things that you can't explain in your reality. It's like it's morphing, emotional roller coaster, things disappearing, right? You need some answers. So the video today, you're gonna get an idea of someone who's worked with Moldavite for 3.5 years. And if you follow my journey, you can see the fluctuations and the patterns that chances are you may experience similar things. Not saying it's the right path, but it is a path to where I am today and what happened 3.5 years later. So this entire journey gritting around the US, right, I shared that the number one thing about Moldavite, when we first start working with it, it gets you very spacey. Remember, okay? This is you. That's you. You have a little Moldavite. Moldavite's energy is from space. From a meter impact. It's an impact stone. It's a tektite. So because we are 80% water, our energy is, water comes in 3 forms, right? Ice, liquid, and vapor. All the same thing, just different forms. So whenever we are in vapor form or we're sweating, that's our consciousness, our energetic field. So when we have a Moldavite, and it's much more powerful when you have it on the body, when it has a host. So when you have it on your body, it's going to take your consciousness way up there. So you're tapping into things, you're like, for example, driving. Your mind might be somewhere else, but you're still driving. I don't think it's dangerous. It's just be conscious. You're still there, but it's just like your mind is somewhere else. So, and that's just talking with first working with Moldavite. Now, when you're talking words like 200, 300, 400, 500 grams of Moldavite, to the point where when I haven't mastered the Moldavite's energy, it was like consuming me, taking me to all these places, grading and bearing Moldavites, where when I look back at my entire journey, I'm like even surprised that that all happened, right? And so now, like, learning how to master my energy, how to work and navigate the energies of the Moldavite, things are just so much more clear, right? I can now direct the energy. I saw my vision, right? So here's the thing. When you're tuned into Moldavite, your higher self is up there, your soul family is up there. It's a collective consciousness up there. So you are down here. This is Earth, where the matrix is. So let's say the matrix. Well, Moldavite is taking our consciousness outside the matrix. So right now, the message I got is just teach. Right? I've been spending like this last few weeks trying to come up with different courses, but nothing really resonates. And this past week during the supermoon, I just got this urgent call to just teach. and the universe will take care of me. So I have no idea how that's going to look like. But after 3.5 years in, so much has happened. I got my teacher, I got training, and I feel like now I'm ready to teach, right? Literally, the super moon was wild. I felt like I've been plopped back down to earth. That's really what it felt like. And in the dreams, right, you'll notice a lot of vivid dreams. And in the dreams, it seems like I'm in some kind of training for some battle. And so I feel like on this higher dimensional level, something's going on. And this lower density within the matrix, the energy that what I'm picking up, it's time for us to wake up, right? And help Earth ascend, because there are good forces and there are dark forces. And a lot of people are waking up right now. There's a reason why Moldavite went viral, right? This call has been signaled. A lot of people are waking up to this reality that when we've been fed, we've been lied to, right? Because when you start working with Moldavite, all your chakras, right, your spinning vortex within your body, Moldavite's on you. Now it's gonna push all your shadows out. So during my entire 3.5 years, it's mostly purging, ton of crying, and cutting cords. So throughout these next series of videos, I'm gonna start teaching you guys how to cut cords, how to tune into your intuition. And the more that we have people wake up, the more we can actually raise the frequency of what's happening, right? All this greed, all this corruption. I feel like Mother Earth is not very happy right now with, you look into a bunch of natural disasters that's happening, earthquakes, tsunamis. So having this so much Moldavite, this last week, all the Moldavites want to be in the room. And so when we're sleeping, we're in surrender state. So my consciousness is up there. You're talking about 500 plus grams of Moldavite activated at different locations. And I'll talk about the different activation locations at the end of the video. But the dreams have been very vivid. And the last one I had was about CERN, right? The particle collider. And the message I keep getting is that some kind of portal has been opened and entities from other realms are entering. So that is why you see the news starting to leak out footages of UFO. The government is starting to admit to this slowly. But when you're tuning into these different energies, remember when you start doing all this energetic work, you clear your body as a channel, you're actually tuning into a frequency here. You're talking, you're communicating to your higher self and this higher collective consciousness. And I don't feel like these lower entities really like Moldavite. They can't be around this much energy. It's too intense because it's such a high frequency. So that's just my theory on why Moldavite is gravitating towards. And I feel like there's a lot of correlations with the 144,000 light workers, which is mentioned in the Bible. So right now it's time for a mass awakening. And recently I've been contacted with the Galactic Federation of Light. So this is this whole different agency for interdimensional beings. And it's interesting because one of the physicists in Israel has actually admitted to this, that he's communicating with extraterrestrials. And I know a lot of people are not a fan of Trump. Regardless of, I really don't have some opinions around him, right? There's so much energetic pull and so much fake news. Like, I don't trust the media anymore, right? The only thing I'm really trusting is my intuition and whatever news source is leading me to. And it's not the news station. It's these other people who are psychics, who are tuning into different energies, who are similar to what I'm experiencing. Because when you start working with so much Moldavite and your body is recalibrating to this new frequency, you're going to start tapping into everything outside of the matrix. And then you start experiencing so much synchronicity where it's like, did that really happen? So just a little brief overview of a few things for you guys to expect. And I'm going to make more training videos moving forward. So let's start. Spaced out, we already talked about, right? When you're working with so much Moldavite, you're going to get spaced out. Conscious down here, mind's up there. 2, emotional roller coaster. And this is something I'm going to address because a lot of you have been asking me questions like, what's happening? Why are my relationships like this? Why am I crying so much? Why are there suicidal thoughts, right? Remember, Moldavite is very, very powerful. So whatever you haven't really dealt with, haven't really cleared within your system, within your energetic field, is going to come up all at once. And trust me, it took me 3 years to really master this energy, right? Because, I had a teacher, but she didn't specifically work with Moldavite. And now just like piecing together all this stuff I learned throughout the years. We got Tony Robbins, was more like the physical 3D stuff. Abraham Hicks, which is a little bit too general for me. It didn't really make sense. And then my teacher for a year, which I cutting cords. So merging all these tools together, it's like, okay, catching on to something, getting a ton of downloads through working with so much Moldavite and going through these different portals that it's all making sense. So remember, when you're feeling all these emotions, notice what kind of moon the moon phase is. This last super moon a few days ago was very intense. So a lot of you may experience very intense emotions coming up. And remember, it's not just in this lifetime, it's past lifetimes. It's also lineage, right? Water has memory. So in our blood has DNA. Blood is water. So you're talking about energy from our lineage that is interrupting our field, right? We're picking up energy that's not even ours. So that's like the kind of training you're going to want to get cleared out of your system, out of your field, so that it no longer affects you on how you think. And also, there's stuff vibrating in the field that you can't hear. I do feel like there's programming, like signals that being pulsed out, putting negative thoughts in our head. So lately, I've been using a lot of ear canceling headphones when I try to work, because there's a lot of stuff going on that's not, you can only sense it, but you can't see it with the eyes. So it's just a tip if you want to play outside the matrix. Things disappearing. This is a little more in depth, right? A lot of you notice like, oh, my Moldavite disappeared. Well, I haven't really experienced much of the Moldavites disappearing. I have noticed different crystals disappearing, different items disappearing. Moments where I was like, that I swore it was there. It was there one day, the next day, disappeared, then it reappeared. So what I believe is happening is we're shifting to different planes, right? The more we clear us up the channel, the more we can go to different dimensions. This is way down the line, guys. This is more interdimensional work. And the more you work with Moldavite, right? It's one thing if you're a collector, right? Because I sometimes I question like, how do these guys who sell a bunch of Moldavites not feel it? It's like, it's intense. And I think 500 grams is enough for me right now. If I take on any more, I feel like I'm heading towards a saint. I don't think I'm ready yet. I think I just entered my heart chakra phase, which is like the twin flame, love. I think I want to stay here for a little bit. I told my friend, my psychic friend, Rennie. So she's starting to get to more Moldavite too, right? She's clear channel and she started working more Moldavite and we're picking up like very similar things. And I was talking about, I was like, should I get more Moldavite? Because I feel like if I do, like another inventory, it's going to shift me out of like, it's going to vibrate me out of whatever plane I'm in, right? Because I noticed that when I set up different grids, different people will set up, or different people will show up my field. And then when I get more inventory, boom, before the project's even done, before we even do any collaboration, they're out. So I'll give you one example. I went to the chiropractor for this last 3-4 months, working on my my realigning myself and opening up my my throat chakra, right, my jaw. I had a TMJ, and so as she was getting adjusted, I have two chiropractors that I typically go to, one male and one female. So whenever I feel like I need some male energy to help me realign, I'll work with the male chiropractor. And whenever I need like a female energy, I will work with the female chiropractor. So recently, I opened up my throat chakra. Right, we've been working this for a while, and in my dreams, I saw that my throat chakra opened up. And so now, like when all your chakras are your power centers, when they open up, you can feel this energy. Even through my words, there's some kind of activation, right? So be conscious. If you're watching this video right now, there's a lot of activations going through, and chances are you're going to get a lot more clarity on what's happening. Just be conscious, right? My throat chakra is not open. So it's interesting because I came back this week and she vibrated out. She's like, oh, this is going to be my last week. I'm going to go home and help my mom and be a caregiver for her mom. So that happened right after I opened up my throat chakra. So that's the thing. Different people will show up in your life depending on what you need to heal. So I didn't make it mean anything. I just like, all right, it's time for her to vibrate out. So that's what you're talking about when you're talking about a lot of energy. Rapid heartbeats. A lot of you probably experienced that, like your things are happening so fast, your heart's beating so fast. Well, we're talking about 500 grams of Moldavite. There are times when like it's hard to breathe, right? So those are a little bit. And the Galactic Federation is something I recently got tapped into. The message was to just go ahead and teach, and they'll take care of me. I don't know how it's going to look like. So, I've been talking about Moldavite Mastery 2.0, taking on 12 women. But since the supermoon, it's been digressing, right? It's like start to share, right? To share and open up different ways to receive. So what I'm thinking, I just opened up my Patreon account again. So if you're led here, chances are the Moldavites are calling you, right? You're seeking answers. And when you find a teacher to really help you understand what's happening, it's going to add a lot of ease and comfort to what's happening. I'm telling you, it's really, really intense. My very first year, I really thought I was losing my mind because nobody could explain to me what was happening. I actually went to a temple and I actually went to church to ask people what is happening because no one else was able to give me an answer, right? That's how intense it got. And of course, when you bring stuff to those religious places, they're not going to give you the answer you're looking for. And when I talk about apocalyptic dreams, when I brought that to the church, right, they preach about the revelations, but no one really knows the answer and like what's happening. And so to a point where it didn't make sense until I found someone to teach me about energy. So I opened up the Patreon account. You can see it in the description as well. So there's different tiers to support. So the first tier is going to be initiation into the Moldavite grid. I'm going to start opening the grid for others to connect with. And that's tier 1 is initiation into the grid. Tier 2 is I'm going to have a prayers grid, which is I'm going to open up a grid from Father Budip's tomb, right? The Moldavites are brought to Vietnam and Asia for 7 months. That's going to be a prayer grid. And so when you sign up to be a tier for there, you can actually submit a name of someone that needs prayers. And so that I'm going to add it to a list of prayers and pray with those names for the prayer grid. So tier number 3 is an energetic boost. So with that, I'm thinking we're going to do new moon and full moon sessions where we're going to do a live clearing for anybody, for the members of that tier, right? When I coach the women in the Moldavite Mastery Program, I don't like to record the clearings. Every time we do a clearing, I want to erase it from the ethers, erase it from the field, so that it doesn't exist anymore. So that's one thing you want to consider when you are purging a lot of these energies. A lot of times I'll go back and delete all old emails, all old files, all old contacts, all old texts. It's stagnant energy that's taking up space in your field. Just a thought. And then what's the another tier is like all that combined. So, and then a super sponsor tier. So just know that once is an energetic exchange, right? Money comes in, new energy comes out. So that is one way that came through for me to be able to teach and not have to worry about how to pay my bills. So if you felt called, I'm gonna start teaching you how to trust your intuition and see how you want to proceed. Because I have a feeling intuition is gonna lead a lot of you here for a teacher. Someone to teach you how to master Moldavite's energy. And once you start tuning into this different energy, tuning into the grids here, I will tell you, you're going to start tapping into your psychic abilities, right? When your body becomes this clear channel, you're going to start tuning into different energies, and you can actually sense spirits, entities, angels, guides. Every time I do energy work, my body starts like vibrating. So the more cord you cut, the more clearing you do, the more sensitive your body's going to feel. And now it's just like piecing together on what kind of entities, what kind of angels, like what is in your field, how to protect your field, and tune in and get direct guidance from either higher self, the Galactic Federation of Light, or your soul family, right? And we can all be intentional on who we contact and who we communicate with. But yeah, that's the little news I have for you going on 3.5 years. But yeah, that's it. Like, tune in if you feel called to contribute, if you feel called to support, or if you feel called to be part of the grid. I invite you to check out my Patreon page. Other than that, hang on for the ride. We are waking up very fast, and the more people that we can wake up, the more we can help get out of this mess that we're in. All right, that's all I have for you guys. I love you, and I'll see you soon. Tammy Do, signing off.